So there have been some pretty big updates when it comes to the NASCAR 25 career mode, which is a mode that a lot of people have really been pushing for to have a huge upgrade over years past. And it seems like in some degrees, we're definitely going to get that. And today I want to kind of go over all that. NASCAR released a 5-minute video, kind of a dev diary on all of it, and it's pretty interesting. So let's dive on in.
So why having ARCA trucks, Xfinity and Cup is so important, especially from a design perspective, is we finally get to do what is a realistic career mode that somebody would actually follow in real life. Think about the drivers who started in ARCA, cut their teeth in ARCA, went then to trucks, got noticed, got to Xfinity, and finally made their mark in Cup.
So yeah, Todd and I spent a lot of time just talking about the feeling of what it would be like if you were a young kid and you're starting your grandpa's shop, and his shop was this like dirty old gas station, and he just kind of said, hey, you can use my shop, there's the tools, have at it.
So I'll say first and foremost that at least with some of the pictures they've shown, I do like the look. And that's something nice to see, but it's not exactly something that's going to change my view of whether or not I like it. What I do like is the fact that there almost could be that kind of grinding effort, that you can move your way up the ranks and that you will be rewarded one way or another for it. That is basic for any career mode, and we have seen some really bad ones in the past where it's just basically a season mode. So I'm glad to know that at least there's going to be some kind of ways of leveling up through it.
And that's where you run your truck team. And then you start to get more sponsors and you start to have more success. So then you move up to the Xfinity series, and then at that point you can build your own shop. And you get more success there, and it just keeps steamrolling. And then all of a sudden you get to the point where you're in the Cup Series. And that's where we built the Taj Mahal of race shops.
So another thing I like about this is it does seem like it's going to be a lot more in the player's hands, especially maybe with customization. I'm really hoping there is, because I think anything in the player's hand like that makes it more of an immersive experience, and that's something that NASCAR games are desperately needing. And when you get up to the Cup Series, at least to me, one thing I like is it looks like a modern Cup shop. Anytime they show you the insides and outs of a NASCAR Cup Series shop, that's what it looks like. I get it doesn't change much with gameplay either, but at least it's something that can, again, draw you in and have a bit more immersion, which is paramount, in my opinion, right after gameplay.
In the career mode, you'll be tasked with making decisions on how to spend your time. And it's not all about just what you do on the racetrack. You're going to have to do things to build your reputation. And that might be charitable work or a movie opportunity. There's going to be things that your sponsors ask you to do. And you'll have to balance between building your reputation and your brand and being successful on the racetrack.
So this is something I really do appreciate. And with somebody like Dale Earnhardt Jr. at the helm of this kind of thing, I think that there's no one else that knows the ins and outs of being a star and superstar in this sport more than him. I mean, if you remember back in the early 2000s, this guy was on par with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning as one of the most well-known athletes in the world. And part of what I like about this is the fact that there is seemingly a lot of detail to it. Nowadays, being a NASCAR driver is not just getting a car in your dad's shop, driving it to the track and running it out there. It hasn't been that way for a long time. But it's not even like it was in the 90s and early 2000s for most drivers. You do have to do a lot more now off the track in different ways in order to be noticed and to stand out from the rest of the crowd. Charitable work, different sponsor work, stuff like that. Drivers through the week aren't just sitting on their ass eating Cheetos. They're probably going out and doing photo shoots, commercials, different sponsor appearances, stuff like that. And I think that having that aspect added in will more or less reward the players who actually put in that time and effort to do so. And it kind of reminds me of NASCAR 06 and also the career mode for Madden back in the day. On the NASCAR side, when you would go out before a race in your career mode and you would have to sign autographs, and you just press probably 4 buttons on your controller, but still, you were signing autographs for fans, and it was a way to kind of go above and beyond to add your popularity and prestige. And on the Madden side of it, you would get a calendar. I remember playing Madden 07, and you get a calendar of different things you had to do, whether it was practice, training camp, whether it was preseason games, appearances, things like that. And you could have customization of your character too, get tattoos, get different haircuts, stuff like that. And I think that those things, again, while not changing the gameplay in any real way, and I know you're going to get annoyed with me bringing up gameplay, but that is the most important part. And if we've learned anything from Ignition, we have to keep their feet to the fire and honesty of that. But if there's anything outside of just that, the immersion with all of this, to me, would be amazing. And again, it would reward players who put that extra time and effort in.
Designing out the career mode was a Herculean effort because you want to make sure that you have all the right details in there about what makes a NASCAR career really authentic, but at the same time, you don't want to make everybody have to go through all the minutia of managing a race team and the finances and the employees. So really, it's a nice balance, and I think we've pulled this off really well in NASCAR 25, where if you want to just concentrate as being a driver, you can do that while mildly being involved in some of the decision making. But if you want to go in there and manage every last little detail, you're going to be able to do that as well.
I think that giving the player the option, whether or not they want to be a hands-on driver owner or more or less just on the driver's side, I think that is the best way you can go about it. You don't want to have a career mode that's just a all painting one when it comes to the approach you get to it. I would like the ability of maybe one of my saved career modes, I'm able to just be a driver, focus on that and kind of speed run everything. And then another one where I can take extra time and maybe focus on what my expenses are or what different appearances I'll do as an owner or a driver. And speaking of expenses though, they showed on screen that there will be the ability to keep track of that. Now, I hope it's kind of like NASCAR Thunder 2004's career mode in the aspect that you're able to buy stuff, you're able to improve your team, but you also have to perform on track and get that money to do so. You're going to have to get the right sponsors and live up to those sponsors. So there's a degree of difficulty. One of the things when you actually turn the difficulty up on NASCAR Thunder 04's career mode that I like is the fact that you're going to struggle and struggle mightily. Yeah, sure, there's workarounds that you can do to cheat the system, but if you're playing it honestly like most people are, it is difficult to become a really good driver in that first season. You are struggling at Daytona to keep up with the pack. You're struggling at a lot of the other racetracks just to keep your car underneath you to race with the back markers. That needs to be something that you have. And with that, that's how you reward being able to be good with your finances on all of it. And that's something that gameplay-wise, yes, might not be the cars itself, but when it comes to your strategy of how you're going to run your team, that part to me is almost more fun than the racing part. That was one of the best parts for me of the Thunder 04 career mode, was going in head first and seeing, yeah, this sponsor might pay me a ton of money, but if my cars can only run 25th and they're expecting top 10s every week, how long am I going to be there with them? Maybe do I take the one that has expectations just over where I run? A little incentive to get better.
One of the cool things about finishing a race in this game is going to be how your performance has resonated within the social media world. So it's not just going to be drivers who might be commenting on how you performed during the race on social media, but some of the most popular NASCAR social media influencers will be chiming in as well.
That is something that is really big nowadays in NASCAR. I mean, we've talked about it before in NWP about the fact that NASCAR itself reacts to the reaction of social media. It's reacting to reacting, if anything else. And I think that's something that's going to be really fun. I really don't think this is anything that's going to be too major. Maybe it's just sort of what your prestige is or how popular you are or something like that. Something a little extra to take care of and watch if you really caring about all of that and you kind of want to be a hero rather than a villain. But I don't think it's going to be something that's really that major personally. And I know no one probably cares, but I'm not in it. But I guarantee you there's probably going to be some pretty good and memorable people that are in it and popular faces in it. So it's going to be interesting to see who they choose for that.
Part of this game being all about the driver's perspective is the interaction that drivers have between themselves and their crew chief and their spotter. So that's something that we're really focusing on while you're in the car, while you're driving, while you're in the menus, making it feel less like a UI screen and more like an interaction between you and them.
I don't know exactly how they're going to do this. Maybe if in practice you pull it into the garage and you can give certain options that they give, like a telltale game almost, of responses to questions a crew chief or spotter has, or something like that. I know that back in some of the early EA games, you could actually plug in a microphone and headset and verbally give your cues or different orders to the crew chief, whether it be how to, for instance, work with your teammates out there, or on top of that, maybe how you want your car adjusted, who you want drafting with you, stuff like that. I think that's about as far as you could probably go. If they're able to do something more than that, I'll take it. But it does sound interesting how they're putting it. But at the same time, it could be a lot of fluff for all I know. And when it comes to new details, that's pretty much all they show in this. The rest of it is pretty much just talking about how the physics are good, or the racing's good, or the graphics and laser scanning and stuff like that. And that's all important, but that's more telling rather than showing. And from that point on, I didn't think you really needed all of that. I only showed about half of it in this video, and I'll link the full 5-minute dev diary down below if you want to watch it in its entirety. But in all honesty, I like the things that they've talked about. I think they're interesting kind of aspects to add in and little details, and I can tell that there's actual care being put into this game, and it's very important. I like all of this stuff, but I want to see gameplay soon. I want to see how good that physics is in the game. I want to see how good that laser scanning of the tracks is in the game. I want to see stuff to believe it, because all of these things sound good. They really do, and it does make me really optimistic about this game. Not even cautiously optimistic. I am optimistic about it, but I need to see to believe. So now I want to know what you think. What do you think about the new career mode? Are you really intrigued? Do you think it's going to be really good? Or are you like me? You're kind of like, wait and see. Let's see at least the basics of the game first before we jump into the career mode. Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one.